We got a problem here? We got a problem there?
Let's take a second right now to have a moment of silence for Washington Mystics owner Shelia Johnson, who suggested that the WNBA as a whole should have been on the cover of Time magazine instead of just Caitlin Clark, who graced the cover last week, which is probably some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Congratulations to Caitlin Clark for being named Time Athlete of the Year, how she resonated, how she drew eyes to the TV. I don't agree with the Mystics owner saying that the whole WNBA should have been named up, because that's not true.
You know, Laura, I am a big fan of Sheila Johnson. I know Sheila very well. She is a great role model, leader, owner, a terrific, successful, wonderful person. I have no idea why she said what she said.
You know what? She's white. Damn.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
Dante Sr., Dante Jr., and we are back on air. So today we got another banger for you. As you can see from the title, Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Dante, how's everything going?
What's going on? What's going on?
Everything's good for me. Everything's good for you. Everything's not good for Sheila Johnson. So today we're going to discuss the comments of Sheila Johnson regarding Caitlin Clark winning Time Women of the Year. Any initial thoughts that you had before we jump into the video? Because, man, she stepped in it. She definitely stepped in it. But tell me what you think.
She definitely did step in it, but I'll wait until, we watch the video.
And here we go.
It's taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now. And this year, something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark. It's Reese. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized. And I don't think we can just pin it on one player.
There has been, this phrase has been couched, hasn't it? The Caitlin Clark effect. Why do you think that has been the case?
Well, I want to be very diplomatic about this. It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen. So last night, we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said, the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism within the WNBA.
Okay. Wow. She said a lot there. Dante, I'm going to give you the first swing at it.
Yeah, a lot has been said. So Sheila Johnson talking about the WNBA being the league of the year. Why would you talk about that? Not even why. Is that the fact that she did talk about that for an Athlete of the Year award in Time magazine is, to me, it's just very disingenuous of her to even strip that away from her, and especially on live TV, really.
As I alluded to earlier, Sheila Johnson stepped in it with this one. From the very beginning, saying that this wasn't directed toward, you can't give all of this credit to one person, that there was Angel, that there was Caitlin Clark, and something clicked. What the hell clicked this year with the WNBA? And the fact that she's trying to take that away from Caitlin Clark and then simultaneously say, well, why couldn't you change the award to the league of the year? Everything she's doing is trying to diminish the biggest star in the WNBA, if not the biggest star of all American sports. And I think what we're starting to get to here is we're starting to uncover what we did the video on earlier about Caitlin Clark, where all the hate is coming from, right? Initially, it was college, Gino Auriemma, that whole UConn group. But now you're starting to see that this hate, Caitlin Clark hate, it isn't just from the players. It's from the owners too. An owner is actively hating on the biggest star in the sport. Could you imagine one of the owners of the NBA teams coming out and saying, Steph Curry's not that important. KD's not that important. LeBron's not that important. Why don't you give this to somebody else? It's like month after month, this bad news coming from the WNBA, and this time it's an owner, and that Caitlin Clark hate is real, and it isn't just from players or former players. And I think I know why, but we're going to unpack that a little bit more later. Anything further on the Sheila Johnson absolute hating Caitlin Clark?
I think no, it's more so a question to you though. It's like, since it's becoming more obvious that the Caitlin Clark hate is just growing and growing,
Mhm.
do you think it just diminishes their brand, or does it make it better since it's more eyes on Caitlin Clark? Therefore, since since the league itself kind of has its dislike towards her.
You must be reading my mind, because where all of this is coming from, it's going to come up. I think it'd be better explained after we watch the next video, and then we can further unpack the overall sentiment in the WNBA. Ask that question again after we watch the next video.
All right.
Number two.
That's not true.
Number two. The attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But, the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about respecting people who built something, what did they build? A league that loses money every year? She has the capacity.
What do you mean,
to
what did they build? What do you mean, what did they build?
What kind of a business did they build?
The reason why it's still up and still running, whether it's losing money or not, is because of these black women.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So, Kari Champion, you acknowledge that, hey, whether we losing our money or not, and then you say it's because of black women. First off, no. I believe the NBA has been helping the WNBA to keep on going for ever since it started.
True.
And for her to say it's just black women as a whole, that's also just taking away the white women, or not even white women, just like any other woman that's not black in that league, just taking away their credit too. And it's like, that's kind of just being selective here. And it's just like very, very disingenuous of them to be including them as a whole, saying like, oh, we built this. Like, no.
Yeah, to say that it was primarily built on the backs of black women. I mean, I think she could technically say that, because what is it? What is WNBA? 80% black women, 70% black women. So in totality, you could say that, but you are kind of dismissing the rest of the Diana Taurasi's of the world, right? The Breonna Stewarts of the world. You're just saying like their blood, sweat, and tears didn't really matter because it was primarily on the backs of black women the league was built. I don't like that take, but also the fact that they are not profitable. I think that is one of the key indicators here. And that's something that everyone can keep pointing to in the WNBA. And what you asked me before was about the WNBA's brand. Does what Sheila Johnson said, Kari Champion, Diana Taurasi, whoever it is talking about, does that bring down the WNBA's brand? Now, in my opinion, now this may be a controversial opinion, so I'm going to go on a little rant for a second. So I believe the WNBA, number one, I believe that they are providing a platform for women who are of the LGBT community, right? They want to provide a platform for them, which includes black women who are part of the LGBT community. Jemele Hill spoke about this on Dan Le Batard's podcast.
The marketing riddle of the WNBA prior to this moment has been, how do you market a league that is 70% black, where a third of the players identify as queer? How do you do that? And that it has been a lot of marketing mistakes the WNBA has made in trying to sort of minimize that part of their identity. Or, a lot of people have certainly for years speculated that they push certain players because they're trying to kind of galvanize and interest white America with players they believe that they will get behind.
But then I think you take those two, you take that element. Then I think they're a political advocacy group, right? Social justice. They're really big into that. And I think basketball competition is third, if not fourth, on their priority list. So I don't think the competition in the WNBA game is a priority. And I believe profitability is even lower than that. And what I think happened with Caitlin Clark was, number one, she's not a member of the LGBT community. Number two, she's not very big on social justice, political advocacy. So the two things that they prioritize, she's not involved with it. She's about the competition. So she moved competition to the top. She's like, I just want to kick ass and take names. And the other two, I think she shook up the WNBA because she's not a part of their first two priorities. What do you think?
I think, well, with that being said, it's just like if she's bringing eyes onto the league, right, then why wouldn't they prioritize that and try to put eyes on everyone else and say like, oh, well, here's this and here's such and such. Like, I mean, I know they're trying to do the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. That's kind of being dubbed because, you know, for other reasons we could just get into later. But I mean, for Caitlin Clark, for her to not be part of their marketing strategy, I think I don't know, it's just very, very confusing. And I believe how they're going about it is just very ass backwards.
Caitlin Clark came in on a whole nother level and said, nah, this is about basketball. And like we talked about last time, you're not a part of our message 100%. We want nothing to do with you. So if Caitlin Clark's not going to get on board with these two things, we are going to ostracize her. Look at what the owner did. The reason why it doesn't make any sense is because it's not about basketball. And that's what people have been saying for months. The Caitlin Clark hate is not about basketball.
And see, since you say that, and I think that's where she's getting the popularity from, is from basketball fans. She's absolutely torching the opposing team, and everyone's just like, oh, this is some real basketball right here that we're watching. So, hey, we're just going to keep watching it. And she's consistent with it, too. So for them to keep hating on her, it's only going to be downhill from there, because clearly the more hate they give to her or they talk about her, the more love she's getting from the fans, from what it seems like, at least.
Because it's like, I think now the curtain's being pulled back. It's like, this is not about basketball, y'all. Like, how can Caitlin Clark win Athlete of the Year and one of the owners says, why couldn't you give it to somebody else?
There's this whole WNBA and Caitlin Clark stuff. It's just like, say if, like you said before, say if like Steph Curry, like 2017 when 2016 when he was torturing the NBA, the NBA was like, well, yeah, he's shooting threes or whatever, but here's LeBron, just doing his own thing and trying to isolate him. And it's just like, you really want to do that? Because that's not really the battle you want to really try to get into.
You know what I think will be more apt to, because I think that there is you touched on it earlier, right? The race part of it. And that does play a part in this, right? So I think a more fair comparison would be the rise of Luka Doncic, right? Everybody say Luka's a top 5 player. And now, yeah, Luka's good, but what about Jason Tatum? Can't we just replace Luka with Jason Tatum? Like, you know what I mean? There is a racial component, and it's just like, why can't you just give people their due? And I think that's what NBA fans, although it's dwindling in viewership, can see that Caitlin's skill is why non-WNBA fans such as myself, I'm not going to lie, I haven't watched the WNBA since the early 2000s, right? Elena Deladon, she was my favorite player, but that's neither here nor there. Not watching the WNBA since the early 2000s, like as not being a current WNBA fan. Caitlin Clark has brought me back to watching the WNBA because she's so skilled. And I get it. There are players that have her similar skill level, but I don't know. The way she does it is kind of like we talked about before. It was like when Steph Curry stepped on the scene. She's bringing a different type of game to the WNBA, and the whole league has to adjust. And we're just talking about just her basketball game, but I haven't seen any backlash to somebody supporting what Sheila Johnson said. I want to see what her next statement is going to be and how she makes this make sense. Because everybody wants to know. You got to make it make sense. Nobody seems to know what it is that you're talking about and why you're tearing down the biggest star in the WNBA. And like I said before, if not the biggest star in America, sports star in America.
I was about to like mention like Jokic, because like, you know how people were talking about like the MVPs, like, and he's about to get his other one, like get another one, and it's just like, well, why not such and such player? Because I remember I was watching like one of the Gil's podcast. They were talking about
Gil's Arena.
Yeah, Gil's Arena, and I remember like Nick Young, he was definitely like opposed to it. He's just like, no, there could be like Jason Tatum or Shy. I think it was Shy. One of them two. Yeah, one of them two. But yeah,
you mean last year during the last year's MVP voting?
Yeah,
it is comparable, you know, and it's just like, why not somebody else? But why not Jokic? If he had the best numbers, although they're leaning towards analytics, right? A lot of it is analytics based and people are voting, but you know, that's the current state of the NBA. And we're going to talk about the NBA in the upcoming video. So I don't want to let the cat out the bag just yet. But why not Sheila Johnson? Why not somebody else? Before we go, I wanted to pose just to illuminate, in my opinion, the status of Caitlin Clark. So I was thinking about this earlier. If I gave you a regular season ticket, right? One regular season ticket, you could either go see Caitlin Clark play or you could see any other professional athlete play. One regular season game, which would you choose? And wait, before you answer, those of us that are still watching the video, comment below. Which one would you choose?
I think it goes. I would go see Caitlin Clark play, because the few games that I've seen her play, yeah, I mean, to actually see her like in person play, hey, I mean, it's just like going to see how I see it, going to see Tyler the Creator perform out in Philly. So,
what about Drake? Is he in that category?
See, the way things are, I mean, the way people are, I would say, hey, listen, he still has good music. Let's not act like we weren't listening to One Dance or all that stuff, because I know people, they just want to act like they didn't listen to it back then or anything. But
yeah,
would I go ahead and go to a concert? Yeah, because like I'm pretty sure he'll put out a good performance. Like,
but he's on that level. He's on that level of an entertainer you would want. If they're coming to town, you're definitely going to go see him.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I agree. I would choose, like I said, I was thinking about it earlier. I wanted to ask you. I would also choose Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
So I get it. She's the biggest sports star in America right now. You can debate, LeBron, KD, Steph, Patrick Mahomes. I think it was Juan Soto.
Shohei Ohtani.
Like, you can debate all these great athletes, right? But push comes to shove, you got one ticket, and you could choose Caitlin Clark or anybody else. I'm choosing Caitlin Clark.
No
so, Dante Sr., Dante Jr., we out, y'all.
Fuck you. Fuck the plane you flew in on. Fuck them shoes. Fuck the socks with the bell on it. Fuck them cheap ass cigars. Fuck your yuck mouth teeth. Fuck your hairpiece. Fuck your chocolate. Fuck Guy Ritchie. Fuck Prince William. Fuck the